Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from the German brand Diplomat. It is the Diplomat Esteem. Now this is one of the more affordable Diplomat pens. I would say it's sort of one of their entry-level pens, and as you can see from the design, it is sort of a smaller, simpler version of, this is the Diplomat Excellence B, which is a smaller, simpler version of the Diplomat Excellence A, but you can see that there are quite a few sort of design elements that are similar across the two pens. The big difference, of course, being that the Esteem is sort of a more matte finish and doesn't have a nice little center band there. So this pen, as I said, Diplomat is a German brand, and this pen is quite affordable. I purchased this for, I think it was about $70 Australian, but they range anywhere from 70 to around 100 depending on where you get them. I got a medium steel nib, and it is a really sort of quite a decent pen. The Diplomat steel nibs are made by Jowo, but they are treated and looked after in-house by Diplomat, and they do a wonderful job. This nib writes absolutely beautifully. It's smooth, it's wet, it does a great job, and for a pen at this price point, I don't think there are many better on the market. So what we're going to do is we're going to change camera angle now. We'll go and look at the pen in more detail. I'll do a writing sample. Then we'll come back and I'll do a little bit of an explanation as to the things I like about the pen and why I think this is a good pen for the money, and a couple of things that aren't quite necessarily up to scratch. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. So here we have the Diplomat Esteem. This is a really nice pen. As you can see, it's got a beautiful matte finish. I'll just put it alongside here, the Excellence B, in a bit sort of more detail, so you can see the sort of the difference in the material, but also sort of in the size. These are, you know, the Esteem is a smaller pen, but it sort of, not by much, only by sort of a few millimeters, but it is, you do notice that difference in the hand when you're writing with the two pens. Let's cover the parts of this lovely pen. As I said, it's a sort of a black, matte black, lacquered metal body, I'm assuming brass, with chrome-coloured trim. It's got that sort of Diplomat clip that we all know quite well from many pens from this brand, and the finial there has the Diplomat logo on it. I'm not sure how well that's being picked up, but I'll get that in a photo. There we go. Which is the ink flower, or whatever you decide to call it. The cap and barrel swell to the middle of the pen ever so slightly and then taper to the ends. The end cap has a little ridge on it, which is used for posting the pen, and it does post securely with a click and quite very securely. It does make it sort of a fairly long pen in the hand, and it is a pen that I tend to use unposted, just because of sort of where the weight sits when you're writing with it unposted. It leads nicely down towards the nib. The section is made of plastic and tapers towards the end, and then has a little lip on the end, just so you know that your fingers are heading towards that point. And the nib is the typical steel Diplomat nib made by Jowo that has been really well tuned. It's just a beautiful pen to write with. One of my pet peeves in this pen hobby is converters. Now, I believe that any pen could come with a converter. Not to say they all need to, but that they could. When you buy a pen from China, you are paying $4 for a pen, and it comes with a converter. Yes, there's a lot that goes into making a pen like this that doesn't go into a pen that you get from China, but If the whole pen, including the converter, can cost $4 including postage, for a couple of extra dollars or included in the price, a pen at this price point should also include a converter. I think the same about the Lamy pens and about a lot of the pens that come out of Asia. So when this pen at this $70 to $100 price range doesn't come with a converter, I think that's a bit rough. Just in terms of the packaging, it has the usual, this is how mine came in, this usual sort of Diplomat white box that has the internal box with the metal sleeve, and then the little cardboard lip there, and then the pen that sits in the pen bed. And underneath you get the material and a couple of cartridges, which is nice, except I would love the pen to come with a converter. So I have put, it's a standard cartridge converter pen, and international, so I've put a converter in this pen, and it's fine. It just would be nice if it came with one. Enough said. Let's talk about the stats of this pen. It's 135 millimeters when it's capped, it's 156 when it's posted, and it's 124 when it's unposted. The section width is between 9 and just over 10 millimeters, which is, as I said, ever so slightly on the small side, but quite comfortable nonetheless. Let's do a couple of just size comparisons while we're here. I thought I'd do a couple of other Diplomat pens just so you can get an idea. Here is the Diplomat Aero, which you can see is a much girthier pen, but isn't terribly much longer. It's longer if only by a couple of millimeters. Then we have a smaller pen, which is the Diplomat Traveler. Now this pen, in terms of length, is about the same as the Esteem here, but it is much narrower, and that grip section is even smaller again, making it probably a good fit for a smaller hand, perhaps some ladies' hands, but I use this pen for quick note taking, and I've got no problem with it. And of course the Esteem there is fine also. That comparison that everyone sort of makes, the Lamy Safari, as you can see, the Safari is a little bit longer than the Esteem, but is a very different sort of design. But in fact, the grip section, when you take the facets out of the equation, is not that different, sort of between the two pens. All that remains really is to do a writing sample here. Now I've inked this pen with Pilot Iroshizuku Ku-Jaku, which I think is a really great sort of tealy turquoise ink, and it gets a lot of attention, but I just love it. It's one of my favourite of the Iroshizuku inks by far. So we've got the Rhodia 80-gram dot pad here. Let's do some writing. Skipping a little bit, it's probably the Rhodia. This is a medium. That's steel. And it's inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Ku-Jaku. Sometimes these smoother nibs do tend to skip a little bit on Rhodia. It is quite a sort of smooth waxy paper, and especially if there's any oil on the paper as well. So that could very easily be that, because this pen I've had no problems with whatsoever. I write a lot on Leuchtturm and Baron Fig and an Australian brand Greenwood Classics notebook, and I've never had any problem with this pen. As you can see, it lays down a nice line of ink. It's nice and wet. It has plenty of shading, which is also a property from the ink as well, but the pen lets enough ink onto the page to allow for that beautiful shading to sort of come through. As I said, it's well tuned, it's smooth, it's quite wet. It's not the wettest pen I've ever used, but certainly wet enough. You can hear just how smooth this nib is. and just do a little bit of quick writing. So there was a little bit of a skip just there, but nothing sort of too terrible, and the pen does generally keep up very well. Reverse writing, it's not so great. It's quite dry and lays down very little ink, so it's not a pen that I would use if I needed to do reverse writing in any situation, but that's not the proper form and function of this pen. It just is a lovely pen to write with. Now, I don't generally tend to do the line variation thing, but this pen does allow for some. If you push it too hard, you will railroad, of course, like most. But in terms of actually getting a little bit of line variation out, it is possible. It's not the stiffest steel nib I've ever used. So yeah, as you can see, the pen writes fairly nicely. It's skipping a little bit here occasionally today. It's not something I've seen a lot from this pen, as I said, but that could be a property of the paper just as much as it is of the pen and the ink. Anyway, that's the Diplomat Esteem. Now to see what, do a quick summary. Okay, so what do I love about this? Well, one of the wonderful things about the Diplomat pens are the nibs, obviously, and that is a big selling point that Diplomat have over a lot of other brands in this price range. Even TWSBI, who use the Yovo nibs, don't get the same writing experience in this price range that you get from this particular pen. I love the finish. That matte black is really nice and smooth. It's got a classy look. The couple of things that I think are, a little bit of a shame are, firstly, that it doesn't come with a converter. At this sort of price range, I would hope that a pen would come with a converter. It's the other minor issue that I have with the pen is just that it is a little bit sort of on the smaller side. It is a sort of slightly small section, and it fits okay in the hand, but a little bit bigger would be nice. But as I said, for the higher price, you can get a bigger pen. This is a nice sort of smaller and very affordable pen. And if you want a pen from Diplomat and you want a pen that writes beautifully, then you're not going to go wrong with this pen. I really like it. I think it's a fabulous pen. Price point, not much beats it. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. And please feel free to get in touch with me if you've got any questions or comments or anything you think I should be looking at. You can do that either at my email, which is listed below, or at any of the other social media platforms listed below, or here on this video, or any video of mine. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you later.